There are three words that are core to the establishment of our testimonies: understand, receive, experience. We already did our view on to understand, so now we're going to look at to receive. Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever the Holy Spirit brings us across your timeline. My name is Michael. Welcome to Ongoing Gospel Seekers. We've been studying our article on effective prayer. And the definition of effective prayer is to have continued communication with God in our lives. Part of the article has been looking at the reasons for prayer. And our second reason was to understand, receive, and experience. Because again, I'm trying to give you more bite-sized videos. We already looked at what to understand means. Now we're going to look at to receive. And within reading this section, I like to call receiving the apostles' response. So let's get into it. There's multiple verses here in Acts, but we'll look at them all. Acts 1 and 4. Once when he was eating with them, he commanded them, "Do not leave Jerusalem until the Father sends you the gift he promised, as I told you before." Acts 1 and 14. They all met together and were constantly united in prayer, along with Mary, the mother of Jesus, several other women, and the brother of Jesus. Acts chapter 2, verses 1 through 4, and then verses 7 through 8. On the day of Pentecost, all the believers were meeting together in one place. Suddenly there was a sound from heaven like the roaring of a mighty windstorm, and it filled the house where they were sitting. Then what looked like flames or tongues of fire appeared and settled on each of them, and everyone present was filled with the Holy Spirit and began speaking in other languages as the Holy Spirit gave them this ability. They were completely amazed. "How can this be?" they exclaimed. "These people are all from Galilee, and yet we hear them speaking in our own native languages." So we talked about how understanding is constantly knocking at the door and seeking God's will to understand what he has for your life. Once you understand, and he's told you what he wants you to do, now you have to respond in such a way that allows you to move within his will. Which is why it's perfect that to understand leads to your response and how you receive the message that was given to you. And we see that beautifully enacted when it comes to the Acts of the Apostles. So then what's next? Now that we understand and then we've now received the message, well, next is to experience. But we'll get into that later. But that's all I have for you today. If the Lord wants us to, we will see each other again, and then we will continue to seek the good news of the Holy Spirit together. Love y'all. Shalom.